Welcome to Kingdom Conversations with C. Ivan Johnson. This is your time to be uplifted, inspired, and propelled with in-depth, relevant conversations with Kingdom and Marketplace influencers. Now, here's your host, C. Ivan Johnson.
Good evening and greetings to each and every one of you, and welcome to Kingdom Conversations. I am your host, C. Ivan Johnson, and this is your time to be inspired, to be uplifted, and to be propelled. Listen, we are so excited and so elated. I mean, ecstatic, because we have one of the funniest men in America who's going to join us. And to me, he is just simply the funniest man in the world. Can you help me welcome none other than KevOnStage? What's up, Kev?
What up, brother Johnson? How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing good, man. I just want to say your production value is amazing. I expect nothing less from you, and I'm still surprised. This is top tier.
Well, thank you so much, man. And listen, it's my pleasure to have you on today. So much is happening in our world today. We are smack dead in the middle of a pandemic. And I mean, people are finding so many ways to cope. We saw a video the other day. The preacher is so frustrated. He accidentally just cussed. he just let it out there, right over the pulpit. My goodness. But you are a person who has traveled the breadth and width of this country. And so you're having to adapt to this new norm. Tell us, how have you been adapting and how have you been just coping during this time?
Well, I think it's been like stages. You know, the first stage was like, oh, this will be over soon. So, you know, we're just going to be on break for 2-3 weeks. Maybe a month, then life will be back to normal. Then it was like, okay, maybe the summer. Now it's like, maybe a year, maybe the rest of this year. I think maybe a month or so ago, I've lost all hope of things going back to normal, and instead being prepared to for what's next. And I think that's a lot better of an approach to be. Because if you're expecting everything to go back to normal, you don't know what that means. What is normal? What does that even mean anymore? So, I think I've just started to figure out what that means for me and start to switch some things over in my business. But, it's a lot, C. Ivan Johnson. It's a lot.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, the nation dropped their jaws as we watched at a red table. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, they sat and they were having a very intense conversation about their marriage. She was sharing that they haven't been happy for a while and that they were experiencing some tumultuous times. And so she decided that she wanted to be like Stella and get her groove back. And so Brother August was the lucky man, 27 years old. She's 48 years old. And so she was trying to explain to Will the situation. And she says that I entered into an entanglement.
Yeah.
Man, what was your reaction when you first heard about this, when you watched this? What was your reaction?
It's crazy. Being a person who's met Will Smith, I'm not sure if you're aware, I met Will Smith in January. I consider myself very close to the family, as I was very close to Will one time. And that was enough for me to be close to the family. I first want to say it's kind of crazy that, like, back in the day when we were younger, that was something that would have been said on Barbara Walters or Oprah or Good Morning America or Katie Couric, Larry King. Like, some major network would have had that story, right? But now it's Facebook Watch that has the biggest story of the internet of the summer. I think it was an interesting in a lot of different ways. I think Will and Jada have been relationship goals for so long. And they've been trying to tell us, like, y'all, it ain't what you think, okay? It ain't no marriage like you guys might be used to. We're in a life partnership, and I think nobody on earth took, our marriage is our marriage more to heart than them. I don't think they fashioned their marriage in any way that's familiar to the average person of what a marriage should look like. And therefore, hearing that was like, oh, this is definitely new. This is very new. It made for great topic of conversation. Will, or August and Jada, she had some greens on that pot. August he was tired of being with them girls who had Uncrustables in their refrigerator. You know, he wanted somebody who knew how to make them greens. So obviously, when you're a star of that caliber, your life is under the microscope more than the average person. So I'm grateful for the, you know, entertainment value of it. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to the movies this summer. My podcast host, Angel, said, this was our Avengers, man. This is all we had. We didn't get to see Black Widow. We didn't get to see, you know, Tenet or any of the big movies we were supposed to see this year. So that was all we could get this year. And, you know, I'm grateful for the entertainment value of it.
Yeah. Speaking of marriage, you were married to Melissa. Melissa, you married back in 2004, if I can recall, correct?
2004, yep.
2004, yes, 2004, you two were married. And for those of you who do not know, for a while before Kevin got so big, he used to live here in little old Tacoma, Washington. And I remember Kevin back in the day, this was before Melissa, this was before the two boys, when he and his brothers were, his brother and his a group they had called Clayton and Earl were just kind of getting started in the whole comedy scene. And they were trying things out at our district meeting, Church of God in Christ, Washington State, and now you just have evolved. But up until that point, you and Melissa are married. You have two beautiful, talented, charismatic sons. And so we have watched you essentially parent since the boys were like really, really, really small. Right. The world has watched you parent. What has it been like parenting in the pandemic? What are some funny experiences that you've had?
Well, first of all, I cannot hide the fact that I am awful at math. I mean, before it was like teachers, tutors, and I could kind of like wiggle, you know, my way out of making it so obvious. Now, because they're doing school from home, you know, they bring these doggone problems in, and I'm just like, I don't know nothing about math. Also, you know, this has been like the longest summer of life. Usually you got 10, you know, 8 to 10 strong weeks of the kids being all up everywhere. Now it's they be all up everywhere every day. So most people are like, bro, my kids all the time. But because, you know, how much I traveled over the last 2 years, and even before that, it's been like a blessing to be able to be up in their face, bothering them multiple times a day. So that part has been great. Distance learning hasn't been so great. I really always was very appreciative of teachers, but now even more. I'm like, man, y'all, we was basically both sharing the kids. Y'all did y'all part for the majority of the day, and we just had to do after. Now we fully got to raise them like when they were babies. Like you know, when you first have kids, you're just trying to get them to school all day. Once you get to school all day, it's all downhill from there. You know, we basically got infants, all at home, all hours of the day now. And I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for my part of the day, which is after school to the next day at school and summer breaks. I need the pandemic to be over so the school can do their part and we get back to the harmony of life.
Wow. So are you one of those parents? Are you kind of vacillating or in a conundrum as it relates to if you're going to send your kids back to school or not, or you're going to continue to do distant learning?
For their health, obviously I want them at home. I definitely don't think we are in a place where they can go return to school safely. I'm just longing for that day. So I might do a thing where I take them to my office and you guys just do distance learning from there. Just be out the house for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They don't go outside. You know, when we were kids, man, we was outside. I mean, the world was outside. Our kids are like, the pandemic is the best thing ever. We have no school. School is 2 hours. We got strong Wi-Fi. There's always food. This is great. And it's not so great for me and my wife. We need y'all to be away from us.
Well, I can imagine. Man, you are doing some incredible things even amid this pandemic. You have an amazing virtual tour that you are participating in. And this is called a social distance or keep your distance. Keep your distance.
Yeah, keep your distance, a properly social distance comedy show.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, listen, man, it's like I could, I had all these dates. I had just started my tour. I had only had 1 full month under my belt, February. It was kind of a lighter month. And then, after the first shows in March, it was pretty much over, and I thought for sure I'd be back by August, but it doesn't look like even October will be back. So I had the choice of either continuing to wait out the pandemic or seeing what I could do within the confines of, what's safe. And basically what we decided to do, which what Dave Chappelle did, is a properly social distance comedy show. Essentially, we've got some comedians, their wives and husbands, and a couple of audience members, enough to give us a live audience. And then we're going to stream it out to the world, so people can watch stand-up comedy from the comfort of their own home. You can be musty. You can be eating, ice cream out of the tin. Like, it's a no judgment thing. Like, do we really want to get up and get dressed? We only did that because we had to. Now, maybe you didn't even take a shower today. Nobody cares. You're at home alone. So you can be watching our thing, eating cereal out of the box and, a handful, and throwing a glass of milk in your mouth, and no one will care. But at the end of the day, it was a way we had to pivot. If we wanted to do stand-up comedy, we had to do it within the confines of no large groups and keeping our safety. So we're doing temperature checks. We're not touching each other and all that type of stuff. And hopefully we can translate the skill that's usually reserved for live audience and recreate that for a stream show. And hopefully it goes well. We can continue to do it until it's safe to perform live again.
Well, that's going to be exciting. So how can an individual get a ticket, or is it registered or what?
Yeah, you just go to KevOnStage.com. Tickets it's literally the only show under my tour. Every other day is canceled. So like literally when you click on shows, there's just one link there. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best place to go, KevOnStage.com.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, to share with our listening audience today, there are so many people that are, like as I've already aforementioned, coping during this time. And it's hard to find they're happy during such a frustrating time. Again, things are so uncertain. You have parents that are making decisions about school. You have people that are laid off their jobs. You have people that are just at home and getting the itch to travel, but you can't just readily travel the way you want to. They miss going to comedy shows and musicals and concerts and revivals, conventions, convocations. I mean, they're just missing. Maybe I'm talking about myself a little bit.
I was about to say, that sounds like you personally. You ain't been able to show these suits off in months. You got all these handkerchiefs, shoes, belts. They up here collecting dust. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Man, it really is something else. It really is something else. But why don't you just share with us how we can maintain our joy, how we can find our happy even during this frustrating time?
I really, this also kind of came in phases. At first, I was like, okay, I'm going to dominate. I'm going to work out. I'm going to learn to play an instrument. And then after like a couple of minutes, I was like, maybe I won't do either of those things. Maybe I'll just, try to survive. A friend of mine kind of put it best. She said, in her life, she's always approached it as sink or swim. Like, I've got to swim to survive or I'm going to sink. And her therapist said, what if you just float? And I think that was really all I needed to hear. Like, this is an unprecedented thing that we've never experienced in our lifetime. Hasn't happened for 100 years. And there's nobody alive who was, our age when the last pandemic of this magnitude happened. So there's no blueprint. So I've kind of been on the like, whatever you got to do to make it through, to protect your mental health, that's fine. You don't have to learn a new thing. Maybe you gain a couple pounds, that's fine. Maybe you lose a couple pounds,
You just wait a minute. You just told people it's okay to gain a couple pounds.
Yeah, Ivan, it's stressful, man. Stress. If you need ice cream and ribs, okay, that's fine. Eat them together. Use the ribs as a spoon. It doesn't matter as long as you do what it takes to get through, because, a lot of our coping mechanisms are gone. We go to the gym, we go to the movies, we travel, we hang out with friends, a lot of stuff that we're used to being able, to do to help with the day-to-day is gone. So whatever you can do to get through, you just got to do that until, we see the other side of this.
Mm-hmm. As we get ready to go, what is the funniest thing you have encountered this week?
The funniest thing I've encountered this week? Man. What is the funniest thing I've encountered this week? Probably, I don't know if this is PC or not, but this was funny and it happened this week. There was a video going viral of a woman who went to burn her boyfriend's car. And and comedian Anna Douglas put that, kind of exploded in her face. She's okay. And Anna Douglas put "There Is a Bomb in Gilead" to that song, and it might have been the funniest thing I've seen in a while. When you're that churchy, it reminded me of thinking Karen Clark Shield was saying there's a bomb in Gilead, and I was like, how did they have bombs in the Bible days? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And took a long time, much longer than I realized. That's not what they were saying. And then a friend of mine realized we were talking about lyrics that people in church had messed up, and we were talking about that Jesus paid it all. And my sister-in-law thought they said sin had left the premises, and it's obviously sin has left the crimson stain. But my co-host said she thought they said sin has left the crib today, and that just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why a song that old would have said that, but I realized that people really be having these lyrics messed up, and it was very funny to me.
Oh my goodness. Everybody, KevOnStage, the funniest man in America, doing some amazing things. Do you have any other projects coming up? Are you working on any movies, any CDs? CDs, that's old school, but any music?
Some movies, but they're so early in the process. I mean, we're still, working on deals for the writers and stuff. So right now, the thing I'm most excited about is the comedy show on Friday. You can get tickets at KevOnStage.com, and my podcast, Here's the Thing, which comes out on Wednesdays, everywhere podcasts are found, and YouTube and Facebook. And the Love Hour, same thing, but it comes out on Thursdays. Those are the two things I love the most.
Talk about your podcast one more time. I think we got stuck a little bit. Say that again. The podcast
it's called Here's the Thing with myself and Angel, that chick Angel. And then on Thursdays, we have the Love Hour. And those are the things that I'm the most excited about.
Awesome. And you can follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at KevOnStage. Thank you so much, Kev, for your time.
Brother. Of course.
We had a good time.
Well,
I hope you all enjoyed yourself this evening. Episode 3 of Kingdom Conversations with C. Ivan Johnson.
Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom Conversations. We pray you were uplifted, inspired, and propelled to advance the kingdom of God. Follow this ministry at C. Ivan Johnson on Facebook and YouTube.